Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for gluten-free Bible study with no MSG or GMOs right here in the Bible Bistro. And you know, here in the Bible Bistro, we have lots of other interesting shows. Lots, I say lots. We have two. We have the School of Wisdom podcast, and we have the Creek Road Baptist Pulpit. So if you have a moment, you might want to check those out as well. And then we are also looking at the book of Proverbs chapter by chapter in the School of Wisdom. So check that out if you have a chance. Today we're going to finish off Psalm 105 with these verses, 41 through 45. And we're still talking about what the Lord has done. Again, let me just reiterate that this entire psalm in 105 is all about remembering. The important imperative in this psalm is for us to remember. Remembering is good soul care. If we do it right, we're going to help ourselves. We're going to bring health to ourselves as we remember all that the Lord has done. We've been in Exodus. We've been in Exodus since, last week actually, when Joseph went down into Egypt. Well, actually, that was Genesis. Today, we are going to continue our trek through Exodus, which we began in verse 28 with the 10th sign of the Egyptian deliverance. So we come now to verse 41, and let me read 41 through 45. He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in dry places like a river. For he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. He brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people. That they might observe his statutes, and keep his laws. Praise ye the Lord. As I said yesterday, we're going to look at water today. He gave them quail, he gave them bread, he gave them a covering of the cloud by day, the fire by night. He brought them forth with gold and silver. Everyone was healthy. They went out of Egypt blessed. They come to the other side of the river, and they're looking now for water. They don't have any water. And so he opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. Chapter 17, the book of Exodus, verses 6 and 7. And the waters ran in dry places. That's not the only time he opened a rock. There was another occasion when he opened the rock, but either one of those is evidence of the Lord's work in the lives of his people. Verse 42, he remembered his holy promise and Abraham his servant. Now, what exactly does a holy promise mean? Well, anytime the Lord makes a promise, it's a holy promise because it comes from him. He owns it. And so because he's the one that makes it, then it's guaranteed. And anything that he touches becomes holy, sacred, and set aside for his own purpose. And he has a purpose in promising to Abraham. And so this holy promise to Abraham, his servant, is seen in verse 44. He gave them the land of the heathen. They inherited the labor of the people, just as he swore to Abraham they would. They went off into Egypt. They became a great company, a nation of peoples, and they come back and they take the land that God promised Abraham. So he makes this holy promise. Anytime you have a holy promise, you're doing good. Verse 43, he brought forth his people with joy and his chosen with gladness. Well, you can look at chapter 15, verses 1 through 22, the Song of Moses and the Song of Miriam there. They're singing because the Lord had defeated the Egyptians at the Red Sea. And so they're joyful and glad in what the Lord had done. And then that final verse there in 45, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Now, when the psalmist writes that, don't you think that maybe, just maybe, he has us in mind for this command? Now, he says that they might observe his statutes. But I wonder if maybe he's including his readers in the they there. That they might observe his statutes. That includes us too. So let's remember all that the Lord has done, because he's not forgotten his holy promise, and He's not forgotten all that He did for His people. Let's remember it so that we too might observe His statutes and keep His laws. Praise ye the Lord. Join me again next week, and we'll look at Psalm 106 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.